everyone. You're welcome to Auntie Joko's Cheers again. This episode is titled The Dignity and Value of Every Man. This is inspired by one of the core values of an organization that has blessed my life personally, the Navigator Ministry. And today we're going to be looking at people with disability. I have guests in today's conversation. I'll be introducing them as time goes on. Let me just introduce our topic for today. We want to look at disabilities. We want to look at the categories of people with disabilities. We also want to look at the rights of people with disabilities. And we want to check if these rights are being implemented in our communities and societies and institutions and organizations. And I have with me this morning in this conversation, I have NIMS, you know her already. I have AUS J, they will introduce themselves as time goes on, and I have an undergraduate of a Nigerian university, MUBARAK, with me today. So we are welcome again to Auntie Joko's Chair. Today we are advocating, it's advocacy, and we want to look at this special category of people who have value and dignity like every one of us. You know, disability refers to any condition that interferes with normal physical or intellectual or emotional and social functioning of any man. Disabilities which are physical, we have so many people in our environment who actually they were not born disabled, but any one of us can be disabled at any time. You know, nobody is praying to have accident, but it can happen. So disabilities can be physical, it can be sensory, cognitive, we have mental health related, and you know, some of these can be permanent, temporary, or even episodic. People with disabilities may face various, in fact, we know in our communities, they face various barriers in their daily lives, including accessibility, including the social stigma and labeling that we have in our society, and limited opportunities. Whereas we have laws and rights that should make things so easy for people with disabilities. So I have with me this morning someone that we know on Auntie Joko's Chair. She's NIMS. She's going to tell us categories of people with disabilities, mention some of the rights of people with disabilities, and we want to assess with our two special guests this episode to check if these rights are being enjoyed by people with disabilities in our community. Over to you, NIMS.
Hi everyone, NIMS here again. It's so nice to be on this platform. Thank you, Auntie Joko, for this. So persons with disabilities are people we interact with daily in our communities, in our churches, in our schools, in our workplaces. We might not know because we don't know them personally or globally as these things which we see, and we often discriminate against them because of these disabilities that they have. And some of the categories we have, we call them clusters, according to the Joint National Association of Persons with Disabilities, which is the umbrella body for all persons with disabilities in Nigeria here. And we have the physical disability. The cluster there entails persons with mobility disabilities and persons on wheelchair, persons with spinal cord injury and the likes like that. We also have the deaf clusters, we have the blind clusters, we have so many other clusters, the cluster of persons with intellectual disabilities. So these are people we see every day. Sometimes we see them and we even label them with some derogatory terms like beggars. We call them all sorts of names. There are even some native names that our community people give them that, these names are really, really terrible. We can't say them here. But I would like us to know that disability is not an issue to be treated with so much negativity, because yes, persons with disabilities are human beings. Before you see the disability of anyone, you first see them as human beings, and they all have rights as well as we persons without disabilities. A person with disability has the right to life, has the right to education, has the right to employment, just like we other persons without disabilities. So we saying because they have disabilities, they are not fit to be part of us in our societies, in our workspaces, is actually discrimination against them. And this has to stop now. For example, we go to the market. There is no separate market for the rich and the poor. It's the same market we go to. There is no market labeled as market of the rich, market of the poor. It's the same thing for persons with disabilities. We are all to be considered as human beings right before the disability. So persons with disabilities often face some barriers in the community, in the societies, and some of these barriers could be attitudinal barriers towards them by people which they live in the community with. They also face institutional barriers due to the policies being formulated that do not carry them along with every other person in the community, which is not supposed to be so. There's a 5 years grace that will be given by the National Commission of Persons with Disabilities to eradicate all discriminations, all forms of barriers that persons with disabilities face in the society and in the community. But till today, we still have defaulters. We are past the 5 years grace now, and we still see a lot of discrimination, a lot of barriers faced by persons with disabilities. We really want to encourage everyone out there to see persons with disabilities as human beings, as one, just like us, no discrimination. We all have to eliminate all forms of barriers that will make persons with disabilities not to participate or live on equal basis as us persons without disabilities in the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, NIMS, for that educative and informative information about people with disability. Remember again, the title for this conversation is the dignity and value of every man. I said earlier that we have with us in this conversation today two special guests. AUS J, he will introduce himself better, but he's an inspiring person. I met him, I've been so much inspired. AUS J is very, very popular, and we are so privileged to have him on today's conversation. He's a graduate of mass communication. He came out with a first class in mass communication. He's a DJ, he's an instrumentalist, he's a programmer. He's so many things that he's going to talk to us about. I've invited him to today's conversation because he had been to a university in Nigeria. He was able to navigate the challenges, and coming out with his first class is actually a very big deal, especially to me, and I know to so many of us. So we welcome AUS J to today's conversation. NIMS mentioned right to education. We'll be dwelling more on that right in this conversation. Over to you, AUS J.
Good day to everyone. Good day to you, listeners. Good day to you, ma. My name is Akpeji Augustine Ayodele, and I'm known as AUS J. I'm a DJ, the first blind DJ in Nigeria. I'm also a multi-instrumentalist. I play 8 musical instruments. I'm also a programmer. I design and work with websites. I also produce or develop apps for visually impaired persons as well. And I sing too. You might probably can hear that from my voice because I'm also a voiceover artist as well. Okay, so I am done with university. By the grace of God, I came out with first class in mass communication. First of all, I went to a school for the blind for my primary education, and also went to a federal government college school for my secondary education, and down to university for mass communication that I studied. I came out with the first class. Now, one thing I am very, very happy to do today is the fact that I can do all these things without no one teaching me or training me how to do them, but because I can do it because I feel like it is something I can do. I can do everything without the aid of nobody. No one taught me how to do everything I know how to do today, from programming to DJing to playing of instruments. I did that. I did all these things from my own. So I learned it myself with the help of everything I listened to because I cannot see.
So, AUS J, we are glad to hear about all these things you can do. I want you to please focus on your university days.
Okay.
How were you able to learn in your university environment? Were the things around you conducive, the facility? What are the things actually necessary for a person with disability to learn in the university?
My university course was for 4 years. And to interest you to know that I am the first blind person to study in that university. For me being the first blind person to study in that university, hopefully I know they wouldn't, I mean obviously they wouldn't have resources, they wouldn't have materials for blind persons because I'm the first. So I have to really want to tell them, okay, what to use, what to buy, what to work with, what can aid me in the education. For my first year, I wasn't. It was a bit hard. I started using my own materials from my house to learn. Even it got to where I had to use my own laptop to write my exams. At the point, they came to me telling me that I can't use my laptop because they feel I'm going to be giraffing from the internet. And I'm like, okay, fine. Let us come with something different. Use your laptop, block every Wi-Fi addresses, every wireless that comes into it when it's time for exams. And by the grace of God, you're able to buy a laptop for the school and for me that I can use for exams. And that worked very well. In fact, it got to a point I had to tell them that it would get to this point where you would have other physically challenged persons. I don't call it disability because I feel we have our own special abilities. So instead, I'll call it this ability, right? Yeah. So instead of that, I told them we should have a resource room for visual impaired persons or people that are living with this unique ability.
And they did that?
By the grace of God.
Oh, thank God for that institution. What will you say really helped you to navigate through? The people around, were they supportive?
Now,
do you have friends?
In that regard, I used to tell people that cares to listen that people that are in this field of what I'm studying, and also visual impaired persons, to have friends, be it close, be it far. Because at the end of the day, for a school such as the school I went to for my university education, I made everyone that were close to me my friends.
Oh.
Because they don't have any accessible material to work with as when I entered.
But by the time you were finishing,
everything was well provided for.
At this time, I actually want to commend the Catholic schools, maybe not all of them, but I've worked in an environment where there is inclusion of people with disability in the school curriculum, school system. And I know that at the university, Austin also went to, is a Catholic university, and they've really tried to provide conducive environment, a learning resource center where people with disability can actually have their space and do their thing and really get better at what they are doing. At this point, Austin J, we will come back to you. Remember, the title of this conversation is the dignity and value of every man. We also have to join in this conversation today MUBARAK, another graduate of Nigerian University. We don't want to mention any name of the university at the moment. MUBARAK, you are not a graduate at the moment. We want you to please introduce yourself and tell us if what Austin has said are things you are also enjoying in your own university at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Auntie Joko, for having me. My name is MUBARAK Tribal. I am an undergraduate at UPED. So the idea is basically all of these things that have been said are things that are not really in my school. So in my school, people with disabilities basically have to fight for their life. So it's either you try to jump in the ocean and allow the wave carry you, or you just basically have to sort out things yourself. Nobody really cares. So as a person who is physically impaired as an albino, I have issues with my eyes. I don't see far. So there's no provision. The school doesn't provide anything to help aid visions in class, probably making seats closer to the board or something. These things are not there at all. So what they'll tell you is come fast. And even during tests and exams, I have glasses though. When we use computers for these exams, you're still giving the same time as the average person whose eyes are very, very sharp. So you either finish or you don't finish. Nobody, there's no really any form of inclusion at all. So it's either you survive or you don't survive.
Thank you, Mubarak. I think we'll stop there at the moment. If you're out there, you are a person with disability and you are in higher institution, please share your comment and let's know so that we can really advocate for institutions and organizations with people with disability to pay attention to the rights of people with disability, to have an individual curriculum for them, to organize, I think they call it IEP, so that you are basically looking at the need of this person with disability in your institution or organization, and you are looking at how you can make things easy. Shortly, Auntie Joko will be going around some of the institutions to check. By that time, we'll be mentioning names of institutions. And NIMS mentioned the other time this 5 years grace to make sure that when you have people with disability in your environment, make their needs a priority. Just before we go, I don't know if Austin has one last word for people with disability out there, or parents, caregivers of people with disability, just something to encourage them. Because when we look at you, you are an inspiration. You inspire us so much. So one last word.
One thing I will first of all say is they are not people with disability. They are people with this special ability.
Okay.
Because every individual has an embedded talent in them, just for a way to discover where the talent is from. That's one thing. And for the parents, don't give up on your kids, because no one knows where this thing will take them to tomorrow. Bring them out there. Let us see what they can do. Every individual on earth has an embedded talent in them. So bring out your kids and see what they can use their talents for.
People with disability, they are people of value. They are people that should be treated with dignity, with respect in our environment. Yes, as we conclude today's conversation, if you're a person with disability, you are feeling undervalued, you are feeling down, you want to talk to Auntie Joko, offline, we'll be available to talk to you. And if you want to talk to other people other than Auntie Joko and make recommendations, please like, share, and comment on this video. Also remember to subscribe if you haven't. Auntie Joko cares, counsel, advocates, and guides. Bye for now.